Welcome to the Encouragement Conquers All podcast with Justin Fatica, the podcast for people who want to learn how to be the most encouraging person on the planet and enhance their encouragement superpowers. Now here's your host, Justin.
How's it going, everybody? We're super excited about our guest today, but I can't tell you how much you mean to so many people out there. You can't forget how much you mean. You can't forget how important you are. And that's why you are in the right place, because this is the most encouraging podcast on the planet. If you want to be an encouragement, you want to bring encouragement, you got to be here. And right now in our country, with a divided country, a nation divided, a nation that's not united, we need encouragement more than ever. We need encouragement not yesterday, not tomorrow. We need encouragement today. And you're either a part of the problem or you're a part of the solution. I hope you came today to be a part of the solution. Now, I coach basketball, as you all know, and I can tell you, there are many encouraging coaches, but I actually have the most encouraging coach, I believe. I mean, he's my number one. Out of all I know lots of coaches. Now, some refs won't agree with me that he's the most encouraging coach on the planet, but he's actually straight from Ireland. This guy actually grew up in Ireland. You might have seen him on the docuseries. He actually has been coaching with me for, I think, 8 years now. I was his assistant coach for many years, and then once I had a chance to head coach, he helps me out with our team, and we work together. We've been working together for a while. He actually is the president of Your Amazing Fitness basketball and training facilities, and he's here today live. We brought him all the way from Ireland, right? That's where we brought him. So, Coach Pat, it's great to have you here. This is Coach Pat Phelan right here.
Thank you, Coach Justin.
No,
yes, thank you.
No, so tell him how your version is of how we met, and what your thoughts were, and then how it's become. We're kind of like family now.
Yeah, we really are. I mean, yeah, it's coming up to a decade since Coach Justin and myself met. It's a real funny story. I'm always recruiting, right? My wife always laughs about it, because we go to any game, I'm always like, can I take a look at this kid, or can I get this kid's number to his parents or whatever? So I seen Justin and Mary's boy Jojo playing in the OCC camp in Syracuse, New York. And after he had one of the camp games, I said to Aiden, my son, I said, "Who's that shooter out there, the tall shooter?" And he goes, "Yeah, his name is Joe, Dad." I says, "All right." So Joe came up after the game, and he met with his mother, and I came over to Mary, Justin's wife, and I says, "I gotta ask, is there any way I could borrow Joe for our AAU team?" And she looked at me as if I was crazy. She's like, "Who are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm Coach Pat Phelan, and I coach an AAU team." And at the time, my God, that was a fifth grade team, and we have been in communication ever since, and Joe's been on our teams for 5-6 years from that point. And that's how we first initially met, was through the OCC basketball camp.
Yeah. And I can tell you that for me it was a huge gift. It was actually for me an answered prayer, because for me, I homeschool my kids.
Yep.
And so and it's just about encouragement, how important it is.
Yeah.
That you didn't see my son as a homeschool kid or a school kid. You didn't see him as hey, he's not worthy. You saw his talent, of course, but you're like, hey, I care. When I say, hey, we homeschool, he goes, oh, no big deal.
No big deal.
But to be honest, when you talk about encouragement, sometimes especially back then, not as much now. Now everybody's like, you're the smartest person in the world for homeschool.
right.
Now people think we had it all planned or something.
Right.
That was a good thing.
Very true.
But honestly, I can tell you that was a huge encouragement to me and my family. So I just really can't thank you enough, because that I'm indebted to you in a lot of ways. And really, you encouraged me, and then you allowed me to kind of work with you as a coach, and it have been a big, big blessing. But one thing I love about you is and I'm just talking straight here, I believe that a lot of times when you come to America, you lose your native tongue, which you haven't done that. You still got your you still got your brogue.
I haven't lost that.
You haven't lost your brogue.
Right.
But I mean, I've been to Ireland twice.
I know you have.
For speaking engagements.
Yep.
And when I went to Ireland, I was actually dumbfounded from my perspective. Like, I went to Ireland, I was like, where are these Irish people in America? Because you still have that joy and that, like, they haven't totally, they're trying to strip America's getting you, coach, I'm telling you, even, you know, don't lose it, but you haven't lost that joy, that encouragement. Tell me about, maybe I'm wrong, but when I go to Ireland, it's like, it's different. The people are just double joyful or triple or quadruple joyful. Is that real, or am I just making that up?
No, it's certainly real. And you know what? It's a great way for myself to integrate my Irish heritage into the United States. Right? Because obviously the United States is just an amazing country. I'm so lucky to be here, obviously. And I feel that my joy as a person, as a loving person, but also as a good coach, as a mentor to these young men that we coach, I think that's important. And I think it comes over as, look, we want you to be the best player that you can be as a player, but also we will love you whether you do right or wrong. We want you to do more than right than wrong.
Of course.
But we will love you nevertheless. And I think that comes from my background, where I grew up.
Yeah, tell me about your background. I mean, somebody you talk about, who I love, you get so much joy when we're at practice, and you talk about your mother.
Oh yeah, oh my goodness.
Tell me about her.
Yeah, so talk about a wonderful woman. She stood 4'9". And
your brother's like, what?
6'4.5".
How the heck does that happen? 4'9"?
It's incredible how DNA works, right? How genetics work. My grandfather on my mother's father was 6'7". Right, so he was tall, lanky, just like my brother. I got my father's genes, right, the 5'10" genes, right? So my son, luckily enough, has got my brother's genes, right? He's 6'2", point guard now, only a sophomore.
Yeah, for sure, he's going to do great.
Yeah, so he's on his way to that. So I think, so back to my mother, she was just when you say the word character, she was a character. She instilled the best qualities in us. We're all human. We all, have deficiencies, but she always felt that we could bring the best out in everybody. She felt that if we worked the best that we could do, if we gave the best of ourselves, that we would be the best human beings that we could possibly be, right? And that we could impact the world no matter where we lived.
Yeah, that's what we need, right?
And she didn't care where we lived. She didn't care if my sisters lived in Paris before and the Czech Republic and in Dublin, right? Or my brother in Phoenix, Arizona, and myself here in Syracuse, New York. She never cared what part of the globe you were on, as long as you were impacting people the right way. And I feel that everything that she's instilled in me as a young boy and into a young man, I try to live that out every day.
Yeah. What are the top three things that were most important to you? Because I love talking about older. My grandmother, as you know, is going on her 150th year.
I know.
I'm hoping to get her. Hopefully, she jumps on a podcast. I got 2 podcasts on.
You gotta have a coach, because I've seen snippets in Cicero when we had that big event in Cicero, and I've seen some snippets of it. She was great, absolutely.
But I love elderly people, and I love talking about those that have, as your mother since passed, right?
Yeah, she has in 2017. Yes.
Yeah. And tell me, if your mother was in front of you, what would you tell her? Go, Mom, as an Irish, Mom.
Yeah.
M-U-M. It's M-U-M, not M-O-M.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Mom,
yeah. What would you thank her for what were the top things that she instilled within you, virtues? Of course, number one, you said, look, do your very best.
Very, very best.
For who you are.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do or what you accomplish.
Yep.
Are you doing your best? That's all I care about.
Absolutely. And, I always say, if you're not playing hard, you're not playing.
Yeah.
Right? And that's exactly how I feel, how my mother always taught us that, right? If you're not giving it everything, you're not giving it, right? So, she was a real my father passed away when I was 13.
Oh, wow.
Okay, yeah, so that was very, very tough.
Of course.
And of course, a lot of young men go through that, and I was
one of our players on the team.
Absolutely. Jack Wenham, a great young man, and he's gone through that with his mother passing. And myself with my father, like, I'll never forget the day. February 28th, and it was 5 p.m., and my mother, that's when my father passed, and my mother just clung the four of us together, the four of us kids, and said, "You will get through this, right? This is going to be terribly, terribly hard, but you will get through this." And I think that has always remained with me, because in business, when
it's tough now.
Oh my goodness, when we ran into 2008, the credit crisis there, and being a small business owner.
And now people are feeling it.
Oh, now they're starting to feel it, correct, right, Coach? And when we went through that in 08, I kind of, reminisce what my mother used to say is, "You'll get through this."
And why do you think she had that perseverance? Like, what were the qualities of her that maybe, she just, were there any qualities that, like, why she had that? We will get through this.
Yeah, I think she was one of 11.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and she lost her brother young. He actually had it was a hiking accident in Paris Court, Ireland, and he fell off a waterfall, and she went through it, a hard time when she was younger, but, by going through that. And I think that always remained in her mind that, there's going to be bad times. There's going to be times that you're going to have to suffer through, and she did. She was 17 years younger than my father when my father passed. So she had a whole life ahead of her. But instead of, going out and doing the things that she probably should have done at that age, she said, "You know what, I'm going to just focus on my family and helping my two sisters and my brother and myself get through that."
Yeah, and I think you're bringing up something big. So you see, she went into, I'm going to help.
Yeah, it was help mode immediately. Yeah.
Right now, where we're at in our country, people are thinking, especially with social media, and look at our games, right? Everybody's filming something.
Right.
Everybody's like, look at the dunk. Everybody's like, look at my layup. Look at my 7 3-pointers that right? Me. And what that creates, is a sense of vulnerability to depression, a sense of vulnerability to anxiety.
Yep.
And what your mother said is, no, what I'm going to do is, and I think this is something we got to get back, like ASAP, in our country, in Ireland, everywhere. We need to get back that sense of when the going gets tough, let's be about others.
Right.
Because when you're focused on others, it's
very difficult to do too.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Very, very difficult.
Especially now, because it is so self-focused.
Absolutely. Think about the young kids now, right? There's more joy from a young kid to get a snippet on Facebook or Instagram of somebody missing a dunk, being blocked, right?
Yeah.
Okay, being stripped. You ever see the broken ankles?
Yeah.
You're at a game and somebody breaks an ankle, somebody gets past another player. The first thing, the crowd goes crazy, right? It's like, oh, he got him, right? And maybe it was a good move, but a lot of it is the demeaning factor of another person, right?
For sure.
And I think that is a big problem today's society. Rather than being joyful for somebody and being happy for somebody, is like, man, did you see that? Did you see whatever getting blocked? Whoever getting blocked? Did you see them getting stripped? So I think that's something that we should really try to get back to.
And what you're talking about is like the second principle of the book that we wrote together that you're helping me out with, that we got to catch people doing what's right.
Oh yeah, big time.
And that's something that we talk about on our team. Like, was your mother that person? I think your mother, though, one of the stories I love about your mother, share that story about after your brother, you would have a game and you'd score 40 points or 35.
I can tell you it was about my brother.
Okay, because your brother played D1. You played D2. You weren't shabby.
Right, yeah.
But your brother played D1 at Rob.
I did, and he was a phenomenal ball player.
Yeah.
His name is Niall Phelan, 6'4.5", guard.
Yeah.
Not even a small forward, a guard. He reminds me just of my son Aiden.
Yeah.
He had a passion for the game. The way Steph Curry's always moving without the ball.
Yeah.
Well, that was Niall.
Yeah.
Right? He always felt like, I'm going to get involved in the play, whether I'm scoring, rebounding, dishing the ball. So he was a phenomenal player. But get back to your story about my mother, so my brother Niall would come in after, a hard-fought weekend, like on a tournament, and he'd say, man, I had like 48 points in a game, and my mother would be like, her initial reaction was, jeez. And we'd all be looking at her going, did you not hear?
Jeez, what? What's she
like? Man, did you not hear what Niall just said? She goes, if only it was 50. And we'd be like,
this lady's
it was
great.
this close to 50, and we were like, yeah.
I know
it's pretty darn good,
People would say that's not encouraging, but from my perspective, what she was saying is, who you are is more important than what. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Like, you're my son. Like, you're the best. I want what's best for you. She wasn't saying, oh, you stink. Or
No.
What was she saying when she said?
She was always keeping him on his toes, like us all, right?
At 4'9".
And I really, at 4'9".
Listen, how can you get a 6'4" person when you're 4'9"?
Oh, yeah, I know. How is that possible?
Can do it?
How is that possible? We don't know. But I will tell you a quick funny story. Back in the 80s, right? I'm showing my age a little bit. But back in the 80s, we didn't have mobile phones, cell phones. So we had
not even in the 90s.
Not even in the 90s, right? For most of it, probably mid 90s, right? So the phone would ring at the house, right? And Niall again would be away on a weekend, for his basketball, because he was on a great travel team, and it would ring around 4 or 5 times, and then it would stop. So my mother would come up to me, and she would have tears in her eyes, literally tears, coach. Okay, and I'm like, oh my God. What happened? Did you fall? Did you stub your toe? What's going on? She goes, somebody's kidnapped Niall. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? How could anybody kidnap a 6'4" guy? They would never kidnap him. And if they did kidnap
Especially
him...
in Ireland.
Because
you're averaging 5'6".
Yeah, right. It's not possible, right? But it would take like 10 guys to do it to him. And second of all, man, he's a pain. Nobody would want him. Once they have him for 5 minutes, they want to give him back. So, and she'd be like, you know what, Patrick? You're right. And she
was literally crying.
She would literally be crying.
Why do you think she was crying?
Because she thought that somebody would kidnap her 6'4.5" baby. You know what I mean? Which was just like nuts, right? She really thought that somebody would want him.
But that just shows you she cared about who he was so much.
Oh my God.
How much did your mom love us?
She loved us beyond love.
And how'd you know that?
It just every time that we would talk to her or just spend any time with her, you would just feel so guilty leaving her or ending the conversation. My wife would laugh because she'd be going to, let's say, Target or whatever, and I'd be on the phone with Mom, and then she would do all her errands, and she'd come back, and she'd be like, you're not still on the phone with your mother, are you? And I go, yeah, I am. And she would just be amazed at that because, we would have so much to talk about, sometimes about nothing.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Was it the same conversation?
Sometimes.
Yeah, no, sometimes my grandmother.
Sometimes.
Every time I'll be on the phone 2 hours, my wife knows it's my grandmother.
I'm sure Mary's the same thing about your grandma, right?
Yeah.
And my mom was the same thing. We would talk about the same things, laugh about the same stories, and we just had a wonderful, wonderful relationship. I miss her terribly, and when I see young men struggling and young ladies struggling, I say to myself, well, I hope they have even a fraction of what I had with my parents. My father was the same way. He was a very loving man, and I think that we struggle nowadays because sometimes in the households that we have, and this around the world, this is not just in the United States, is that there's more of a figure it out yourself, and attitude. And I think the parents are so invaluable in them situations, right? Just because.
Well, I think people don't realize that who they are is that important. Right. I always say, when a kid comes up to me and says, I'm at an event, says, oh, my dad's in jail, my uncle's in jail. Yeah. The first question I always ask him is, I would go, do you miss him?
Do you miss him? Right.
And the reason I ask that
I've actually heard you say
is because what it identifies with what they did wrong or guilty or not, like who they are is important.
Right.
And I think we can't stress that enough. And that's why this is the most encouraging podcast on the planet, because really my goal is that if every person in the world strive to be the most encouraging person on the planet, Doesn't mean you're more encouraging than him or
Right. There's no competition for that,
no,
for sure.
But for you to do your very, like your mom would want, do your very best. Hey, you encourage that kid. Good. You should do that. Do that even more. Do that even more.
Absolutely.
Encouragement conquers all.
Oh, for sure.
And we've seen that with our team.
Yeah.
Team Amazing in particular. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never asked you these questions, so I just think I'm just interested. You know, we've had a kid homeless this year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We've had a kid who his dad, you know, God forbid, but, you know, ended his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Freely, choosing that. We've had kids right now, one of the kids we work with, who went to jail, you know, who's now got a bracelet strapped on him, and he's texting me, Coach, you know, how you doing? And what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, maybe my lawyer will let me come back, you know. And then we also have kids on the team that have a mom and a dad.
Yeah.
And so
that's why I think it's so beautiful that there's a connection that we have from different parts of society that come together.
Yeah.
But if you see them together, you would never tell who has the worst of it or who has the best of it. Am I right by saying that?
I agree with that.
Coach, you could take the 10 of us together like last year in Chicago, and you could never tell who's got the worst and who's got the best of it because we really gel well together. And some people, some of our players do come from tough situations.
Oh, for sure.
There's no question there.
For sure. And how, I know for me, like what keeps me going, like to say, I gotta encourage more.
Yeah.
I gotta, as what you wrote about, love no matter what, even more, which you're exceptional at, by the way. You're one of the few people I know that really genuinely loves people no matter what. I want you to know that. I mean, I know a lot of people in the world. And
well, thank you, Coach.
You know,
I always say to my players, I go, look, and you can ask them all the way from 5th grade, from 4th grade up to now. And I'm very lucky to be able to have retained my players.
Oh, for sure.
Because a lot of them, you
come and go.
Environment is
always the big shots they reel in.
Yeah, and not just that, but what are you doing for me today?
Yeah, correct.
You know what I mean? It's not yesterday. It's not tomorrow. I need satisfaction now.
Correct.
Right, immediate satisfaction. But I always say to my guys, and I say, look, if you're in trouble years from now, you're probably going to call your parents, your grandparents, your uncles, your siblings. But if you can't get help and you need me, I will be there for you.
Of course.
Okay? If there's something you're not comfortable talking with your mother or father about, I will be there for you. Okay? Yeah. And I only hope that it really makes them feel loved and comfort, knowing that it's pure honesty when I say
for
that.
Sure.
That I would never.
I'd call you myself.
Yeah.
If I'm in trouble with Mary or something, I'll call you.
Like I'm always in trouble. But like, and our players together have called, and I've been there for them, and I always will be, because I think that's really important.
So important.
Yeah, because we go to battle on the court, right?
Yeah.
So we're asking them, hey, give it everything out there, right? Now, right? In the future, they might need you. Right? They might need you. Hey, it might be advice. It might be fiscal. It might be, just help. I'm having trouble with my marriage, with my kid, whatever. Yeah. And I think if we can give back and show them the love and concern, right? I think that's so important.
Yeah, and you come from a mom and dad that were committed to you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like you said, so committed to you.
My goodness.
But there's a lot of people out there, they might even be listening right now, and they're kind of like, I don't want to add another thing in my life. Oh, I don't want to go help, because it'll distract me, for whatever it is.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, if we want a better society, we have to be families that are willing to give back, like the old school. I mean, the Irish neighborhoods, and for me in America, the Italian neighborhoods, like it was all about like who you're gonna help because somebody's going down.
Right.
Who's struggling? It's not like, maybe you might say to their face, hey, snap out of it, man. Like, what's your freaking? But again, that's your uncle, that's your neighbor, that's your friend. Like, how do you view, like, when you see our team, like, what keeps you going when you do see so much struggles? And then think about also, like, what's one kid that's impacted your life? You know, maybe if, you know, they were in front of you and shared, like, are there any of the players you're like, man, I just respect that kid so much?
Yeah, so for our under 17 team,
yeah.
like the guys like Joels,
Yeah.
Kisan,
Yeah.
Carter,
Yeah.
LJ,
Yeah.
obviously, these guys have been through so much,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we could spend 2 hours right,
Yeah.
on each kid,
Yeah.
right? What they've been through, but you see them at practice,
Yeah.
right? You see everything they're giving back
Yeah,
to us,
for sure.
right? And I take a step back many times. It'll be like 11 o'clock and I'll be just by myself and I'll be doing some stuff for work and I'll think to myself, my goodness, these guys have a smile on their face.
Yeah.
They're giving it everything out there. And look what they have to go to back to sometimes
Yeah.
where the instability is there for them.
For sure.
Right? Now, in many cases, it's not many cases they have, great families back there. But in cases like that, like a few of our guys that have been through so much, but still have a bright, outlook on everything in life. And I'm just amazed at it.
They're super impactful.
Yeah.
And not only them, but like, I think it's impacted, like, for me, like, everybody's gonna go through a challenge like you did. Your dad died young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you were 13.
I was 13.
You just got to America too,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
It was the first year you were here, wasn't it?
Actually, no. When he passed,
You
it
were
was a
still
couple
in
of years.
Ireland?
Yes, I was still in Ireland.
When did you move here? 14?
I was. Let me see. I was 16 when.
Oh, you're 16.
Yes,
Wow.
it was a couple,
So
2.5 years afterwards.
What made you move here?
Well, it was kind of funny. Notre Dame High School, Utica, New York, came over to play a Millennium game against the Dublin Millennium team.
Okay.
They were playing a few games in Ireland. I had a pretty decent game against Notre Dame in Utica, and the coach and I, Coach Joe White, a remarkable coach and a remarkable man, he ended up bringing me over. I did my junior year and senior year in Notre Dame in Utica. And,
Was your family here? Or
No.
You were here in America.
I was just here by myself. They
never moved here?
And they never moved here. No.
Oh, so you were the only one?
I was the only one, and then a few years later, my brother came over. He got a scholarship to a school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So same type of thing. It was a prep school in Pittsburgh. He ended up being all Pittsburgh for basketball, and ended up playing Division I at Robert Morris. Right, so
it was really basketball that brought your family over here from Ireland.
My sisters used to always say basketball. That's all they talk about. That's all they do. We should drive.
And basketball isn't that big in Ireland.
It really is. It has become
It's big
over the years.
Yeah.
It definitely has increased its popularity. But when we were growing up, I would say rugby.
Rugby and football.
Yeah, hurling, football was probably the most important
European football, soccer.
Yeah, soccer, right. But it was funny because when I came over here, a lot of people, because of my stature, 5'10", a lot of people would say, "Oh, you're a soccer player."
Yeah, exactly.
And I'd be like, "No, I'm not. I'm a basketball player." They used to find that quite amusing, of my height and so forth. But so I came over first. Went to Notre Dame and then went on to St. Joseph's College for 4 years.
What are the things that like you think that like our young people need right now, like, outside of basketball? Basketball is like kind of like what I call the vehicle to impact the kids' lives. What do you think is needed for our young people right now in this nation? The kids that you work with, what do you think is needed more than anything?
Belief and hope.
Yeah. Okay.
Belief and hope. Okay? I think they need to believe that they can do it. That even though if they have deficiencies, which we all do, if they have not the greatest story, right? Not the happiest story, that they can still survive and succeed and do well, right? And along with that comes hope, right? Because sometimes we believe that we can do it, but we fail, right? And like I have many times in my life, whether it be basketball or business, right? But hope is important. Right? You need to say to yourself, to believe that you're going to succeed, but then when you do fail, that you hope that you're able to get back on the saddle and able to succeed. Right? So I think them two things are really important to me. Belief and hope.
And something like people might not know that only if you watch this podcast you know that half of our team doesn't even play high school basketball.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And we just won 2 tournaments.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then we've got 2. We're playing in the next 2 terms, the highest level tournaments.
For sure.
You know that you can get to outside of maybe the EYBL or the highest
for sure
league.
In the Knuckin in Chicago.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
They're going to be very challenging.
Oh, very challenging, but
for sure. Yeah.
But share about that. Like, why do you? What's about that? I mean, what does it speak to you that half of our team didn't play high school basketball, the other half team are doing very well?
It makes me dizzy almost.
Yeah.
Like it really does. It's like how did that happen? How did they get overlooked? But I think that's about the 2 words I say, belief and hope, right?
Yeah.
Because it was probably very easy, right, for them guys to go, you know what, I wasn't picked for my high school team, I just got to leave it, you know. I could just go work, I could just go do something else, just hang out, right? Yeah. Probably get into things sometimes where they shouldn't be into, right, that aren't so good, right? Because I think when you are involved with any team, right, and especially ours, I think that it keeps you on the right direction.
For
right?
sure. And I think faith, I mean, Coach Anton knows, and I know you can speak about this.
Yeah.
I think faith is something that people disregard in this nation right now, more than anything.
It's so easy to coach.
Why do you think it's so easy to disregard faith?
Well, think about it. Everything is so now immediate, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't get immediate help from God, which it doesn't always happen immediately.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
He'll wait till you're at the end.
You better believe it. You better believe it.
He's saying this isn't that.
Yeah, this isn't that important. Hold on there, kid. Right? No, but there's, it's easy to give up. Yeah. It's easy to say, you know what, I can step away from my faith. Yeah. Right? It's easy, and I think we're all, me included. It happens. Yeah, it happens where you just have a bad week or a bad day, and you're just like, you know what, But then, I think you always go back to how grounded you are, and how lucky we are, right, to be a part of this team. Amazing,
for sure, it's
right?
humbling,
and it's very humbling.
Very humbling.
When I see our kids, right, that I've just mentioned, right, and I know I'm leaving out because there's many, because we got 10 great players. Yeah. I think when you see the situations that some of our players go through, right, and still are able to, as I said, to be able to surpass that, you say to yourself, you know what, faith is so important. Yeah, it's got to be. It has to be, right?
And I think that's something that, like, your mother instilled within you and your father, right?
Yeah.
Did they instill faith within you?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. I mean, we were always taught, look, God is so important. God loves you. You have a guardian angel looking over you.
Even guardian angel?
Absolutely. I always say, my son, I tell Aiden all the time, my daughter, you have a guardian angel. You have somebody that loves you up in heaven, that is guiding you, right? And I believe I have one myself. I believe my wife has one. I believe everybody has one. Yeah. And I think when times are really rough, that our faith and our belief in that, this is just my belief, that I think that we have somebody that is externally, right, in spirit, pushing us along, right? And that's not to say that we're not going to fail, that we're not going to, have our face in the dirt, because
that's life.
And it will happen.
Yeah, that's life.
It will happen. But, Coach, faith is so important, and it really has been instilled with me as a young man with my parents.
But as you know, I don't know if you know the numbers, 53% of America in particular, they actually are called nuns, not N-U-N-S, but N-O-N-E-S, meaning they believe that they don't have any faith background. They've never been raised in that. Right. And it's just, that number is just going to get higher and higher. So they didn't have that faith background. Yeah. And I know people can go both sides, because I'm all about loving no matter what. Yep. Whatever you believe in, I'm on your team. I'm 100% with you. But then at the end of the day, like when you don't have that in a country or in other countries, and it's like that in Europe as well, right? Yep. I'm sure Ireland, you've seen that, the churches are empty.
For sure. For sure. There's, especially with the young people.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, oh, come on.
And you think it's because it's the here and now.
Well, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is. It's like, how do I immediately get happiness and pleasure, right? How does that happen to me, right? Now, right? I don't want to be like, go through confirmation, go through marriage, go to church, there's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. And sometimes the church, can make it difficult sometimes.
Of course.
Sometimes you don't make it as easy, right, as we would like.
For sure.
Right? And whether that's right or wrong, that's a whole other story. But I think with the young people, I think they say, you know what? I don't want to go through that.
Yeah.
I don't want to build my life around faith, around God. Because I got so many external things going on.
Yeah.
And my buddies don't believe in, or my parents don't really talk to me about it.
For sure.
Right? Or guide me towards that. So, you know what? It's just as easy for me.
Yeah, most of our kids on the team, whether it's praying, we pray before meals. And, we have a team message where we share about, faith and a message to help them. And even with our older guys, we have them even accept, Christ into their life at the tournament.
Absolutely,
What are your thoughts of having a team like that? And it's a unique experience, probably for even you. And
oh, it is.
Yeah, and I'll never forget our trip to Florida.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, Coach, like it was a half an hour ago. Coach, when people see me, they know that I can eat. You on another scale.
Hey, man, I'm Italian.
Yeah, but you got zero.
Everything revolves around food, man.
Yeah, but I got body fat. You got zero body fat, and it's very frustrating.
Well, I'm working out the whole practice.
The whole time, and you got such energy. It's incredible because Coach eats around 9 times a day, and it's remarkable. We would go to church in the morning. Coach would be like, "You want to get a sandwich and a couple of pastries?" And I'm like, It's 9 o'clock in the morning. It's like...
Hey, you didn't turn me down.
No, I never turned him down. Not even once. Not even once. I didn't even think to turn you down. So, yeah. So, we just had a great time. Yeah.
No, but I remember, we went to church every day.
We did.
Yeah.
And you, me, Ralph. Yep.
Yeah. And it was just for me, having time where you're not doing anything, but you're doing something that helps you to think about who you are, who your family is,
right,
how you want to live your life.
Yeah.
People need to get more time to do that.
Yeah.
On a daily basis, because I think we're doing, and we're forgetting about who we are, who our family is. Yeah. What do we value? What's important? If you don't get that every day, which usually we're like, oh man, I got to get to work. Yeah. Oh man.
Who says, but I gotta get to mass, right? Who says that? Sometimes what I say that, right? I'm like, oh man, you know what I mean?
Did that help? How did that help your journey? Did that help your journey of faith?
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Because remember, we could put 25 hours into a 24-hour day. We could put 29 hours into a 24-hour day. Sure. But to take that little bit of time, doesn't even have to be in church, but just take that little bit of time and say, I'm concerned about someone, I love somebody, I want to pray for somebody, okay? Kind of a little bit of a joke, but people always say to me, our friends say, you must have a 1-800 number to God that always answers.
Really?
Right?
They say that to you?
They do, because...
Well, you do have.
Well, I don't know why.
You have a relationship.
Well, yeah, maybe, and I hope I do, but they would say, because we asked you to pray for one of our friends or our family member that's sick, and all of a sudden they're feeling better, right? Or they're doing better.
Yeah.
And
you always say, I'm praying for your mother. My mother had cancer.
Absolutely.
My dad who had cancer. My dad who was struggling. My mom was struggling. And you're always praying for them.
And I do.
What's your routine? Do you have a routine?
No, not really routine.
Okay.
But I do every night, not at a certain time.
For sure.
But I do every night take a time to ask God for help.
Yeah.
For us all, right?
Yeah.
to pray for people that are not well, that are sickly at the time.
That's really your focus.
Yeah, it really is. I pray for one of our teammates' mother who's passed. I pray for his family all the time.
Yeah.
That his father's just a remarkable man, and I always pray. Please pray that Jason can, keep going with the boys and look after his family, which he's doing a great job of, and guide him. And I think that's so important. I always feel so good after I pray for them and after I keep my mind on them.
Because you're focused on others.
Right. And wouldn't it be so easy to just say, hey, let me make more money, or let me have a better vacation, or let me look after myself all the time. But when I think of others, it makes me feel better inside. I definitely have.
And I think like we started out this podcast, like that's what we were talking about. Like right now, these kids and even the adults, they're so self-focused.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
It never does. Not in the long term, it doesn't.
In the short term, it does.
Yeah.
Because you think, oh, I got more money. But guess what? Then all of a sudden it's gone, or then all of a sudden you hit a bad break. Then you need help. And then everybody's acting like you were.
Right.
All about yourself.
Yeah. It could be a vicious cycle, can't it? It really can.
And so we need to get encouraging people out there.
Yeah.
So like, how do you think, what can somebody do? What do you think somebody can do out there? What can they hold themselves accountable to do to be an encourager? Because one of my good friends, Ken Blanchard, who wrote in the book, who's one of the best selling authors of all time. He's a good friend of ours and myself, very good friend. He's one of my biggest mentors. And he always says, we weren't created by God to be a human doer. Mm-hmm. We were created by God to be a human being. And I love that. Yeah. And why I love that? Because it's so true. Mm-hmm. Because when you be with, that's what we did on that trip. That's what we do on these tournaments. Yep. That's what you do with your team. It's about being with them, not just doing. Correct. So what could you challenge? There are people here, you might look at this as some everyday basketball. This guy, like, to me, is a hero. He's been a gift to my family. And what I believe you can help people to do. You have a secret sauce or something. I don't know what it is, but every day, very simple things, what could people say, hey, this is how I can be the best human being out there?
Yeah, so for me, it's simple. It's to care first and to love first, okay? So if you do those things, right, and then once you have that grounded of the caring and the loving factor, then everything else will simply fall into place, right? So if we get 10 great athletes together, right, and we don't care about them, and we don't love them, and we just okay, you just came together here to play, right? Many times, and I've seen this, them teams will lose.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
Because they don't have the nucleus, they don't have what we give our kids as teams, whether it be my teams or our teams together. Yeah. Right? So I think if you start with those two foundational aspects, to be a caring person, right?
I love it.
And it's so broad, the word caring and love. Right?
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? Right? So some people well, he's caring because he bought me a pair of sneakers. Yeah. Right? That can be caring.
Yeah, it could be.
But also another caring is, hey, listen, coach, I'm going through a real hard time right now. My dad's disappointed in me. He's frustrated that I'm not playing well, right? He's paying for these tournaments. What am I doing out there? And she'd be able to take time and say, look, it's all right, okay? We're held to this, to this great point, right? You have to be the best. You have to be, there's ways to get there. And I think when that happens, right, and you're able to spend time with a player and to encourage them and go, look, this is what you got to work on, right? Tell your parents, or I'll talk to them, that it's not immediate for you, right?
Sure.
And we will work on the things that you need to work on to become a better player or to become a better person. Right? Okay. So I think it starts with caring and loving, and then all the other aspects of the game or life can all come in place.
And I think it's something that I didn't mean for this to happen, but when I first started, 3 years ago in July, 3 years ago, little, we went around and I asked them, like, what are your dreams? And one kid said, I want to play NBA. Another kid said, I want to play college basketball. Another kid says, I just like hanging out with my friends and have fun. Another kid said, he actually said, I want to be a great father one day because my dad wasn't there for me. And I was
for
like,
sure.
Oh, I was
well,
like,
that's impactful.
That's
sure.
super impactful.
Big time. Yeah.
And all I said is, they're like, Coach, why are you here?
Yeah.
I go, because I'm here to believe in you.
Yeah. Right.
And I think that's something. I think that's something that we've got to get back. Yeah. Is belief.
Well, I think that's why you and me are so much alike in that way, right?
Yeah. There's nobody you can bring us to say we don't believe in.
Right. Absolutely.
And,
right.
And I can't believe that through this team that we've had, you've seen this, we've had a film crew following us for 2 years.
We have, Bethany and John, they're great people.
And now the docu-series is going to be shown for all of the world to see, 6. It's going to be like 2 movies.
Right.
Like, it's not just one movie, it's like 2 movies.
It's going to be very impactful for sure.
And like, why? So why do you think, like, from your perspective, like, a film company said, this team's important, 1, 2, why would they spend all this time, all these resources? What's your take on it? Because I could have a take on it, but I'm always interested to hear the people who've been watching this and been involved. What's their take? What's your take on it?
For me, it's real simple. It's real.
Yeah.
It's real. Okay? You'll see our kids go through the trials and the problems and the letdowns that life give us every day.
Yeah.
Okay? And not just give us like 6 months out of 18 or 17 years of your life, but some cases 15 16 years out of your life.
For sure. Okay? We have one player that hasn't even had a mother, which is unique. Hasn't even had a mother in his life, his whole life.
Right. And that kid, who I know you're talking about,
who's got actually 4 or 5 mothers that support him.
It's unbelievable, right? Because we all care, right? Believe, right? And hope, right? That young man is going to be able to be a great father, right? Is going to be able to give back some of the things that we instill in him, right? So in a way, we're kind of like parents to all these kids,
for sure.
In a way. I know Ken sent you a text there last year on Father's Day going, Coach, thank you for being a father to thousands of young men, right? And young women out there in life, because that's true, right?
Yeah.
But get back to what the film crew must think is, it's real.
Yeah.
And what people will think.
And people need real. When somebody watches it, which they might have not watched yet, or maybe they have watched it, like, what do you hope they're going to get from? What do you hope happens to their life?
So when you watch a reality show, right? Okay.
Yeah.
The Kardashians or one of these nonsensical shows. But,
you Kardashians.
I'm not Kardashians.
They're going to come after us.
I know. Kardashians, Coach Phelan isn't knocking you guys. But look, if you're watching those shows though, right? It's all fantasy. Yeah. Okay, it really is. Come on, it all is fantasy for almost all of us.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the 0.0001% of our country that can live like that, that can act like that. Okay.
Yeah. This is. I haven't thought about it like this. This is interesting.
Right, it's true. But now, when you see Team Amazing, okay, now you see real. Right, not nonsensical stuff, but real stuff going on. Okay.
Where anybody can do. Anybody can be a mentor.
Yeah.
Anybody can. Look, not everybody can be LeBron James.
For sure.
But every single person on the planet can be the most encouraging person.
Couldn't agree more, Jim.
And I think that's what we've lost. Like, these are things we should be willing to die for.
Absolutely.
We should be willing to die for being encouraging. Be willing to die for being loving and caring and kind as you're saying.
For sure.
And so.
For sure.
Man, and you you have one. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the trailer, but one of my favorite parts of one of the trailers is when you say, "Hey, we've all come from different parts in different ways, but we all come together."
And you see it every time we're in practice.
Yeah.
So this isn't one time a year. This is 2 times a week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is like 7 tournaments a year that we do. That we all come together.
We even one year during our little breakdown there, we had I think we did like 18 tournaments. It was like crazy because we didn't have any high school basketball.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because it was during that time.
Constant, right?
It was constant. We just kept playing.
Yep.
And I just can't thank you for all the times you sacrificed.
Yeah,
honestly, you put in there, you'll get there. With the little guys too.
Oh, they are just so much fun.
We got some hope for the future too.
Oh, I'll go back and say to my wife, I says, they are just the greatest.
Yeah, they're so
They'll come up to me. Oh, I was at a game last night in the Chesney Center, and who comes up to me? A big smile, big brown eyes, DJ.
Oh, that guy.
And
that guy's the biggest character.
Oh, he's so funny. He goes, Coach Pat. I said, oh, DJ, how are you? So he was just so happy to see me.
That kid's a character.
Oh, he's just so funny. It's just ridiculous.
And the little guys, I mean, they have their own stories. They've been through a lot, but but they're there and they're committed. It's just the next generation.
So committed.
And what I think people need to do is realize, don't sit on your couch.
Right.
Anybody can sit on your couch. Nothing wrong with having you're from Ireland, nothing wrong with having a couple brewskis.
Oh, absolutely.
But
I've been known to.
But don't waste time.
Right.
Like, get out there, get involved. Like, don't think you're worthless. Don't think you're. Self-doubt is such a big thing. We're thinking about ourselves, people don't appreciate me. Well, they might not appreciate you. You think they are appreciating what we do? I don't know.
Right.
I'm not worried about that.
Right.
You can't worry about that.
Right.
You just got to do what your mom did. Give me 2 more points, buddy.
Give me 2 more. You can get the 50,
Give me 2
right,
more. That's what get it. You call and one of your famous lines in my world is moving the needle.
Moving the needle.
And what do you think our country and our world? How can we move the needle in encouragement? How do you think we can do that?
So it doesn't even have to be in basketball.
Yeah.
Right. It can be just in life. It can be as a
father.
father.
With the Rubik's cube.
It really could. It really could be right. Starting off where you get 2 sections and then you have 4, 5, 6. So it can be about a business executive.
Yeah.
It can be about a father, a mother, right? It can be about an aunt, an uncle, a sibling, right? It's how we can judge ourselves and say to ourselves, look, I mightn't be at this point right now, right? But give me 6 months, give me a year, right? I can work on the things that I need to work on to help others. And it's not always like, oh, well, I can be a better person. I can self-improve myself all the times.
That doesn't work.
That doesn't work. It's like how I can help others.
Yes.
So when I
love that, Coach. I love that.
Yeah. Because when I can get to that point, then I can say, now I can give back even more, right, of myself.
Yeah. Because self-improvement is self-destruction. That's what I tell people. What you need to do is improve for others, improve for your purpose.
Yes.
Like, improve for your mission statement.
For sure.
Just as we close out here on this pod, I just had a great, by the way, this is fun. This is what we do all the time, right?
Yeah.
This is like, we could do this. We could be here for all night.
I actually forgot we were at a podcast for a second. You talk like this all the time anyway.
No, this is just being real.
It is, yeah.
I just gravitate towards how important it is for people to really move the needle by caring about others.
Yes.
and really being that person that can get outside of themselves and love the person next to them.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's easier said than done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I look at closing this up with, like, there are people out there that we can't impact, right? But this person listening right now can.
Yeah.
I think it's as simple as writing down on a list 3 people, 5 people, and say, okay, I'm going to improve myself for that person.
Yeah, I think.
And one of my favorite basketball stories, since you're the coach, I could share basketball with you.
Love it.
I was teaching our guys, look, you always got to play a tournament for somebody other than yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I do that each tournament, right?
Like Luigi?
Yeah, this is the best story, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, the kids are like, okay, and so they share, I'm going to do it for my mom, do it for my sick grandma, I'm going to do it for my uncle, I'm going to do it for my father, I'm going to do it for my family, and we go around. So we're like, we're going to do it. So I'll be honest with you, I get into the game.
Yeah.
I've got a ref yelling at me.
I think that might be an understatement there, Coach. Yeah, we've seen a lot of one-handed,
Oh, man. I got yelled at by a ref last term for that. I know you got to watch the docu-series to check that out. But bottom line, they've been getting rid of me for that.
Yeah, if you know.
I got a technical foul for that one.
I've had a few of those.
Yeah, you get some technicals.
Yeah, both of us.
The refs wouldn't be one of the most encouraging people. They might not believe that.
All a good time, Coach.
Yeah.
All a good time.
But we lost by 30 to a City Rocks team, which is a powerhouse perennial team that really is always good.
And Saratoga?
Yeah, in Saratoga. So we lose by 30.
Yep.
So now we get to the finals, we're playing them again.
Yep.
So those kids are walking on, but every dog has its day. You know, you can win any, you know.
You can. Yep.
You know, it ain't over till the fat lady says.
That's right. That's absolutely
It ain't over
right.
till the fat lady.
That's absolutely
And so we get out there, all of a sudden we're winning. I'm like, holy cow, we're up, and we're up by 13. We lose the lead. All of a sudden they take the lead.
Okay.
And there's only 9 seconds left, so I call timeout. I set up the good old power one. It's so simple. It's so simple. So they remember.
Effective.
And all of a sudden, like, you can see the kids are nervous. They're kind of like, because they're young. They're 11.
Of course. Yeah,
they're not 17, they haven't done, and they're 11, so they're kind of like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
We just lost the lead. All of a sudden, little Luigi goes, well, actually, big Luigi. Luigi goes,
great kid,
hey, coach, did you forget? And I actually did. I was worried about the play. We're going to win because of who we're doing it for, coach. And I remember
that is great.
Every kid on the team, it was like this.
Yeah. We're okay. We're okay, because we're doing it for somebody else, right?
And guess what happened? We set up power one.
Yeah.
Aiden makes the layup.
Yeah.
Game over. We win the game. We beat the powerhouse. It's over. 50, 51, 50 or whatever. And it just touched my heart because it's what we're talking about.
Right.
Self-improvement's great.
Yeah.
But if it's not for somebody other than yourself, it'll actually be self-destruction.
Yeah.
And so I think our job is to just keep loving people no matter what.
Agreed.
Catching people doing what's right. And guess what?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, maybe they'll say that we did something okay. But if not, you do it anyway.
I think so, Coach. And I think if we believe and we hope and we love and we care, we'll be okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well,
love you.
I love you too. And we had Coach Pat Phelan on here, and you're learning how to be the most encouraging person on the planet. You might say to me, I didn't talk enough about faith. You might say to me, I'm talking too much about faith. But what I'm saying to you, are you the most encouraging person on the planet? That's what I want to know. You have no faith? You better be the most encouraging person on the planet. You have all the faith in the world. You better be the most encouraging person on the planet. Why? Because that's the truth about humanity. Every single person wants to be loved and wants to love. That's what you were made for. You were made to love. I have a God who loves me. He died for me. He gave everything for me. That's why I love. Why do you love? Have a great day. We'll see you again and help you to be the most encouraging person on the planet.
Thanks for listening to the Encouragement Conquers All podcast with Justin Fatica. Make sure to subscribe and follow to be notified when the newest episodes of the podcast go live. You can find contact information and important links in the show notes. Stay tuned for the next episode.